And we are live.
We're live.
Welcome, my friends. Welcome, Vizma. Welcome, Adam. Today, I am so honored to be the host of our third episode of Startups IRL by Founders Persist. And I have two amazing guests and a new topic that we brought with us. So, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the podcast, and feel free to ask questions in the comment section if you want. And we will start with the topic of marketing and startup growth today, actually. But first, before we talk about it, let me introduce to you our guests. You know already Vizma. Vizma is our founder of Founders Persist, but also a passionate product marketing leader who's helping to build a bridge between banking and blockchain at the moment, but also has marketing expertise in European startups all over Europe since many, many years. So welcome.
Many years, indeed.
Many years.
Yes,
I'm not trying to
exactly.
make you older than you are, but I want to
Fair enough.
underline.
Fair enough.
Exactly. Welcome, Vizma, and welcome also Adam, this second
Hello,
panelist today.
everyone.
Hi. Adam is an event maestro and a marketing strategist who knows how to turn big ideas into unforgettable experiences. And I am so excited to talk to both of you today because we have a lot of questions around marketing for startups. But are you ready? Let me know how you feel.
Let's go.
Great. Let's do it.
Yeah, good. Energy is up, so we can start and let's dive right in since it is the hour after work where everyone is still interested but also tired. So we have to get through very interesting questions. So Vizma, let's talk about the first topic in our panel today, and that's a little bit about founder misconceptions. What do you think is the one marketing misconception that most founders follow, and what is actually sabotaging them? Like what is this from your perspective?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting question, and I think that it definitely differs. Depending on the type of industry you're in and the type of like the business that you're running. So I think that it differs. But one key thing that I think I very early on in my career couldn't fully like let go were some of these sort of like old-timey concepts or like frameworks. Like I remember, like reading marketing books, and it was all about the 4 Ps and and these kind of SWOT analyses and all that kind of stuff. And for the longest time, I was just trying so desperately to jam my strategy and my campaigns in those frameworks, and it never really like worked until I really realized that it's not about the framework, it's not about some kind of pre-prescribed path. It's really just understanding like what really makes sense to your business, what makes sense to your growth path, and so on. So yeah, maybe just like not being so caught up about those structured like frameworks. I don't know, Adam, maybe you have another take on that one.
Yeah, I really agree. It's just there's always a lot of preparation in the beginning, and then it seems like that you like figured out like the first 16 steps ahead of doing anything. But I think what is the craziest thing to when people are like having these misconceptions like starting out, it's like there is a common concept somehow that you just do the thing which is going to be extraordinary. It doesn't matter if it's a product, it's a service, whatever. It is going to be extraordinary, and then you just let the world know it exists, and then you go viral. And it's just very, very far from the truth, because basically everyone thinks that they have the best idea in the world, but reality proves that it's not always the case. And then the question is like, we're talking about like playbook. It's like, what's your playbook afterwards? So yeah, you announced it to the whole world, and then they didn't die of excitement straight away and like bought all the stock you have. What's next?
True. And Adam, let's talk a little bit more about startups and their budgets. And sometimes startups don't have the space for both marketing and sales, right? And you're talking exactly alluding to the part after the first step. What do you think is the one to focus on, marketing or sales, and which one is maybe a little bit overhyped?
Oh, when it comes to like marketing and sales, I have a really radical view, to be frank. So I think that when you are like starting out, you should primarily focus only on sales, because marketing is very, very easily becoming like a robust structure that you are not going to be able at that stage when you're alone or you're with your co-founder or you have like 2-3 people in the company in the very beginning. You won't be able to sustain to a level where you want to. And I think, let's say without sales, nothing is happening. Basically, you can post all over the place, you can like have like really, really good social media following, and then people are replying and everything like that, but you need to make the cash flow somehow. So if you are like, in case that you were posting the first time your brilliant and amazing product and it didn't work out like the viral or organic marketing campaign, then you really need to figure out what are the sales channels you are using, because you need to literally like dive into the sales and roll up your sleeves, because it is a really, really hard work. And sometimes it's multi-channel, because whatever you thought is going to work, then you realize it's not, and then you're starting a new one and the new one and the new one. And then even when you have like partial results or someone signing or something like that, there's like a very long way to fine tune what is the process actually to move people through, to be able to convert them. So 100% I would say sales is crucial in the very beginning, and then you can build up slowly the marketing. But I'm super excited how Vizma thinks about that, because it's as I say, you know, like we are I'm marketer, but I promote sales in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, marketing versus sales. I think that's the long age debate. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that there's a difference also regarding like what kind of business we're talking about, right? Like if it's a B2B business, then yeah, 100%. Like I would, invest all the resources in sales. And let's be real, the first salespeople in a startup are the founders and are the people, kind of like earlier on the team. So they're really passionate about it. They really deeply understand the problems and kind of, trying to find that product market fit. And I think that they should be the ones doing that. So 100%, I think that that's a very, very, very valid point. When it comes to like B2C or like selling to individuals, especially if it is like a product-led kind of a motion, where acquisition really happens through almost, just signing up to a product, such as an app or whatever. I think that there maybe, there's an argument that, marketing plays a more crucial role in like growing these earlier audiences and so on. So I think that there maybe, there's a little bit of a, kind of, more of an argument to be made that maybe, investing in marketing is a good idea, because ultimately customers gravitate towards, brand recognition and trust, and kind of building that through marketing is I think that's more effective than obviously doing that through sales.
I think it's a little bit of a chicken and egg problem, right, at the beginning. And to ease it, I think the one thing that right now is coming to the market and also very handy for startups, especially startups that don't have that much of financial possibilities, is AI, right? So this is the new, I see it as the third pillar. It's the third thing that next to marketing and sales. So let's talk a little bit about AI, about the topic that everyone talks now about, but let's talk from the perspective of marketing and sales. And what, from your perspective, is the most impactful AI growth hack, and how can it be implemented to actually see immediate results? What it is right now that startups can actually use when using AI and win? Sorry, this question was, of course, for Vizma. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, listen. I think AI is, I mean, kind of like taking it back, like what is the most impactful, tool in the toolbox right now to use, and, and how do you utilize that in terms of implementing AI? I think that one key thing is like everybody's figuring it out right now, right? So people are experimenting and really discovering how these different new technologies are impacting marketing and also sales and so on, and what kind of optimizations can really be made. I think that that's the first takeaway. It's like there is no clear playbook yet. There is no clear like winning strategy just yet. So people are, like really discovering this. I think that what I've seen really in terms of how AI can be applied is AI is kind of a scale aggregator, right? Like it aggregates the scale that you can operate on. And when it comes to specifically marketing, I think that the biggest impact so far that we've seen is, on social media, right? Like that's where you kind of very clearly can see how people are utilizing AI. Whether that comes from, thought leadership articles or just, random LinkedIn posts and so on. And it obviously opens up a broader discussion about, like authenticity and, kind of, how much of this content is, relevant, useful, etc. But ultimately, I really think like number one is experimentation, right? So experiment with the tools, find what's out there, go beyond your chat GPTs and, Claudes and, Geminis. Try to really explore what possibilities it opens up and how you can use it for scale, right? Like I think that those are the key things that I would be thinking about, and I am thinking about. So, Adam, what about you?
Yeah.
It's why you talk about like the use cases, and it's just absolutely fascinating. I studied SEO, like why the things are happening and what is behind what the specific elements you are using, basically. And I can go on any of the platforms, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, and I can literally like ask based on short paragraph or whatever that write me a landing page copy. I don't even need to ask to be optimized for SEO. It does it automatically. And then it spits out at the end, then, okay, so here we go. So this is your H1, your first headline. This is your H2. These are the keywords. I have 3 keywords of the secondary keyword in this paragraph, and it's literally like breaking down the whole thing for you. And then you don't need to do anything else. You're just literally copying and pasting it, and then you're good to go. It could make us extremely lazy, but it helps a lot with effectiveness. So you grab the whole text that you got, and you throw it into a third-party software that is helping you optimizing the website content. And it literally gives you the thumbs up that it's like, this is excellent, great work. But you need to do that, I honestly believe, because just running away with that, it's not the best solution, because we saw that AI is making mistakes because it tries to please you, which is really funny that making up things that don't exist just purely because it's like so eager to give a good answer to the question, then rather like lies is just to make you happy. But I think the crucial part here is like because productivity is amazing, growth hacks are amazing, and we can literally like ask a lot of things based on previous scenarios, blog posts, whatever. You can write like a full business plan, whatever you want. But it is always going to be that kind of generic answer that is like pulled out of multiple sources found on the internet that were relatable and somehow like trustworthy or professional or whatever. It's never going to create anything new. It just rearranges all the pieces. And I think the bigger question here is the emotional connection because I mean, I tell you a story from like personal life. I have friends, not naming them now. I have friends who are using language models to be their best friend, talk about really deep stuff, and then just AI learns how to like understand the person basically. And trust me, AI could be like more attentive than your husband, because obviously it has all the data behind, and then it replies you today based on the data that you've already given to that like a year ago in a previous conversation. So don't be mistaken with the thing that's just like creating emotional bond automatically, because it understands me, it supports me, and all these sort of things. I have friends who are using it as a therapist. I think it's very varying to like be exposed like that. Again, based on the fact that I was talking about, that in the meantime, the language model tries to please you. So it's not necessarily giving you the like, I would say, like the professionally accurate answer, but something that is, it will be good for you to hear. And some people use it literally like a financial advisor, like loading up entire portfolios, and then it's like, give me an analysis of this portfolio. Where should I invest? And then it's really terrifying sometimes to me, like the emotional connection already. And imagine if this is, we see where is this going forward. So you see that when you are making a basic Google search, then the Gemini generated answer is most of the time coming up at the top nowadays, and it's recommending you something. And imagine that Gemini is your best friend, and Gemini is telling you when you're making a search for a product or a service that I found this to you. Here is the link. That's the service you need. And you're obviously assuming that this is based on the previous conversations and the relationship, I would say, you built with the platform. But this is the new way of the advertising. And I saw already people who are like figuring out how you can end up as a recommendation for an AI search. So how much you will be misled by seeing the ad that you think it was tailored for you specifically. However, it wasn't, because there was a third party who paid to show it to you based on who knows what kind of data points, literally.
That sounds a little bit scary, but also maybe it's not about hacking. Maybe it's more about organic growth that we need to talk, and maybe AI should become just a tool and an enhancement to what you do. But growth is about speed, of course, right? So it definitely speeds up your process of creating, and therefore we have not only now very well optimized paid ads, right? It's one of the biggest pillars in this topic, but also very well optimized content that is AI generated, of course. But that is our new reality, right? So you need paid ads and you need AI generated content because that you want to be one of the best. But do you, Adam, think right now organic growth is a myth? Or is there a secret recipe where you can actually build a loyal audience for a startup? Like, is the startups can they do it, or is it all now dependent on the mercy of AI?
I think it's still possible to build up organic growth. However, you can really see where the where the intentions lie behind the thing. It's if you are creating an incredible SEO structure of your website, whatever you do, you're never going to be able to rank higher than the AI recommendation, because the AI platform is theirs. So you can literally just go as far as they allow you to do. Exactly what was with the paid ads. The two options of paid ads are coming above your organic ad or organic listing. Doesn't matter what you do. Even if you have like the biggest traffic, the best score, best SEO score provided by Google, by the way, so they approved it. You couldn't just get higher than that. And I really see that people will very, very soon not really leave the platform to ask to go to Google and make a search. They will literally search from the app, from Gemini. Listen, I need the new pair of shoes. You know my style. Where should I buy one? And then the game is literally over with in terms of like organic ranking, because the person is not even at the platform where you are optimizing the thing. But that where it comes handy if you are ahead the curve and you're already optimizing for AI results, because it's again like with keywords and with blog posts and backlinks. Whoever is there longest is going to have a more stable position.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I would say that from my side, it's almost like it begs the question, like, what does that mean in this day and age, like organic growth anymore, right? Because like in theory, yes, of course you are paying for the, you know, for the tool that you are using to generate this content. But ultimately, like, you know, how does that coexist with original thought? How does that coexist with your unique point of view and, you know, voice and tone and so on? And I think that ultimately, like, those that will embrace AI and use it as a tool and use it almost as a companion in their journey and use it in a smart way, not in a rudimentary way where you're just like, you know, pushing some random prompts and, you know, copy pasting kind of situation. I think that those people that like figure it out earlier will be the ones that like will really, you know, like kind of show the way and scale things, you know, to another level. And this is where I think that point about like trying things out, experimenting, getting yourself familiar with these tools is like super crucial.
Okay, let's go
just
a little bit.
Sorry, just one more little bit of detail,
Sure.
because what Vizma mentioned, I think it's really, really important. I was following the AI news because it's just like fascinating, and then obviously we understand where things are going, you know. And I was looking at like really like important voices in the space, and they literally started to post like once a week or something like that, you know. And then they started like twice a week. Now they are getting to like almost every single day, because their main job, basically, apart from creating the content, that is a big job anyway, but like their main job is to keep an eye on the space and understand like what is new, what's happening, and even they cannot keep up. I think what is really, really important is like you don't want to be at the forefront of the thing unless you are an influencer in the AI space. You don't want to be in the forefront of the thing, but you would like to be up to date enough that you understand like what is already out there, because it seemed like because of the open source that every single developer, every single person who can write code like started to work on all the AI like the AI tools, and then it's just like coming every single direction. It can be literally overwhelming. So it's just like really, really interesting like how it speeds up. But despite the overwhelm, as Vizma mentioned, we need to keep up and be up to date, because we will have, if we do not, then we will have like such a gap to bridge that will be wider and wider over time.
Yeah, but I also think like with any other new technology that has come over time, like there is no business that is not somehow on the internet, right? It's like it's impossible. And basically these days every business is a digital business, regardless if you're just cutting hair physically, but you still have your systems in the cloud and your bookkeeping systems, as well as if you're an IT company working on blockchain technologies or otherwise. So same thing with AI, I think, and it is very important that we incorporate this technology into our workday and work businesses to not fall behind and to not stop being relevant, right? Because the reality is shifting, and that's the interesting part, how to keep up. And But I want to also go a little bit step back from the AI, because it's of course a very exciting topic, but we want to also give our fellow startuppers a little bit more input also on how they can make things work. And there is this big dilemma between planning and doing. And of course, everyone says you have to make plans. If you don't plan what you're gonna do, you're gonna for sure not succeed. And plans are there to be changed, but they need to be there, right? You hear that all the time. But please help us, and maybe Vizma, you can start here. What is actually the moment how to stop planning and start actually doing? Like, where is that balance, and how would you navigate this dilemma?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is a balance between like planning and doing. I think that there is that. I think also like earlier in my career, again, like coming back to those like frameworks and so on, there was this thinking that you need to have like a 6 month to a year strategy at least before you endure anything, and before you take the first step, and you need to have everything figured out. And I think that if you operate on that kind of mindset that you are a perfectionist and you're like very, very scared to move, then I mean startups is not for you. I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but listen, I think that there has to still be some like broader goal setting where you're like you're really like seeing where you want to go, and kind of what the message is that you want to pushing out to the market. But like if you're very early in your journey, as a company, like sorry to break it to you people, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you're doing. Nobody's watching. Nobody's seeing what you're writing, and so on. And that actually gives you so much room to play and to experiment and to find out where is that possible product market fit, like which are the customers that are responding to my messages, how they're responding, which channels could be used, and so on. It's a really great time just for pure experimentation and just going for it. And I think that there's certain level of freedom in these like earlier days where you can just go for it. Then later, in your journey, when you're in the scale up phase, you're a bit more grown up and kind of more mature. Yeah, there's more like barriers, let's say, to what you can do or how you can experiment. You maybe have some, I don't know, legal compliance, etc., kind of like limitations in this regard. But even there, it's like you still need to remain agile. And I think, I think that Adam, you brought this point up a while ago. I think you were talking about like how AI actually enables this, display this, getting things done a little bit quicker. So yeah, we'll let you continue on that thought.
I think it's really similar in business, in my view, than in like personal life. I always think, like, I always recommend like that you set like a vision that is like quite clear, like where you want to go, and then you like have a couple of steps in the beginning. But I've never seen in my entire life, business or personal or whatever goals, that someone set a vision, paved all the steps going there, and then exactly the same way happened in life. It's just never. So that must be a point when you are letting it to be fluid enough that new opportunities are coming in along the way, and then you are just like jumping on those, or pivoting your original idea. So I would say, even with the startup and being a founder, you need to have like those 3 steps, because those are crucial. Otherwise there's no action, basically. So coming back to what we were talking about earlier, it's like the planning fatigue. You just have ideas and then there's nothing happening. So you need to have those 3 steps and you need to execute them. But the vision helps you in the end to not to lose the path, but you don't have the clear path. You know where you're going, but whatever the way how it unfolds is a total mystery. I think that's the most exciting in this. That's the most exciting in business and the most exciting in life.
Yeah, that's why we are here, I think, right? Because that's where you are at the verge of innovation and seeing every day what can happen. But look, in the back in the day, I have spent so many hours creating spreadsheets with plans, not only for social media, but I've done thousands of roadmaps, and not only once, but 1,000 times the same roadmap. Because as you say, Adam, it never goes as the first plan that you made, which you need to start, but you need to adjust. And I think to bring our conversation back to AI and back a little bit, right now, as a doer, this is for me the perfect tool. It does the initial generic plan for me. I don't have to think about the components that come into my plan. I don't have to spend the brain power on what should be in my plan. It inspires me and it enhances my process, and I can just start doing and trying things out and thinking about different scenarios, how I can try it out, right? So I think it accelerates the process to switching from planning into doing, where also very many startups die at that phase, right? They talk, plan, get financing, but they never actually start doing, and they get lost. And I think this AI powered planning will allow more startups in the future also start faster and start more, hopefully. And once they start and once their companies are up and running, there is of course a few metrics that they have to look at and focus on. And I would love to know from you guys as experts, if you could give our audience, like each of you, and maybe here, Adam, you can start, 3 metrics that marketing startups, metrics in marketing that startups should focus on, and maybe one that you think that is completely overrated. And then maybe Vizma, you could share your perspective of that. It would be very exciting to hear.
Oh, that's a killer question. I love it. I absolutely love it, the question. So wait, hang on a second. So metrics needed. We talked about sales. I would say that prospects is the first one. So
No, I think we're losing Adam.
We're losing Adam.
Okay, he's going to be back, I'm sure, with the metrics.
Definitely. Then maybe as long as Adam is finding his way through internet to us, maybe Vizma, we can take the question with you first, and then Adam can continue on his thought on sales metrics.
Yeah. For me, I think that the metrics that should be tracked earlier in the journey, I think, are all relating to like product market fit. I think that those are the things that that you should be paying attention to earlier on. I think sometimes people over-index on the revenue or on things like that very early in the journey. And while that is, of course, incredibly important because you need to make money, I think that finding that niche and really narrowing down the audience is, I think, even more important than than maybe those earlier kind of like key business metrics. Okay, I'm adding Adam back in.
Perfect. Adam, are you back?
The system kicked me out. I think I spoke too much. Yeah, sorry, the system kicked me out. I think I spoke too much about AI, and then it went rogue. And it's like, we don't need to hear much about this guy. So,
but it's no problem, Adam. Vizma just explained from her perspective, and we decided to circle back to you. So continue, please, about your perspective on metrics, especially in sales.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool question. Absolutely love it. I think because we talked about like how much more sales is important than in the very, very beginning, the marketing, I would say prospects. That's what I would start with. Like how many prospects you have, not mistaking, like prospects are not leads, basically. And then you just like have like really high expectations about what is going to happen, and then basically not too much. I would say lifetime value or churn, because at the end of the day, we talked about cash flow as well. So you need to engage these people, obviously depending on the business, whether it's a subscription model or you have like repeat buyers. that you need to understand like how many times you're going to be able to get the money out of them to feed the cash flow basically, and referrals, because advertising is getting more and more expensive, and if you are able to turn this on at an early stage, that people are talking about what you're doing or about your product, then it's just going to be, especially when you're really, really tight with the budget in the beginning, in like early startup phase, or like literally just like a single like a not needed website visits and views. I still see owners and founders who are like checking these. They're just like, yeah, you go not too far with that. uh, and video views and reach. I think there is like this massive hype that, oh my god, there's a lot of things happening. I have like a lot of video views and everything like that, but there's no like real conversion or anything is backing that up. Basically, it's just like those are views. They are interested. That's it, basically.
That's a good point and a good plug for our Founders Persist podcast, because our views are pretty high and we are very excited to be viewed a little bit more on TikTok. So check us out on TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Perfect. You set the stage, Adam, for that. So thank you so much. But now to end our conversation around marketing and sales, let's talk about lies, Vizma. Let's talk about, what do you think is the most damaging and the biggest lie that the traditional marketing playbook tells founders to do that actually startles their growth?
Yeah, I think that, that is a very good question. I think that, and by the way, we also have one question from the audience, so we can tackle that one afterwards.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that one of the biggest like key, I don't know, misconceptions, maybe, I wouldn't even say that those are lies, but kind of like misconceptions. And this is like circling back to our conversation about, I think, about marketing and sales. I sometimes feel like in some organizations, they're almost seen as kind of like rivals. It's one or the other, and and there's this whole thing, who's going to bring in more business and pipeline and this and that and the other. But I find that the organizations in which I've worked at, which have been the most successful, marketing and sales really work hand in hand. And they are really partners in crime, and there's a lot of feedback loops that are happening between them, and there's a joint, very clear go-to-market strategy that stems both of these departments. So to me, it's like trying not to see, not only in the commercial department, but across your organization, different departments, not as these kind of siloed entities, but really as interconnected, people essentially, right, that are working together to achieve a goal at the end of the day. So maybe that's like my key takeaways. Like whenever you bring in marketing, make them very, very close to all the other commercial parties in the org.
Interesting.
It's such a valid point. I've been like a lot of organizations when marketing and sales departments, they were like unable to collaborate. Sometimes they were competing with each other, and then trying to measure like the on website leads, like how much more important than the phone calls they made. So it's just like absolutely crazy. But I think there's one lie. I think it's a lie, must be a lie. There's a lie that says that creating the buzz is the key. I don't think creating the buzz is the key. If you manage to create the buzz, it's amazing, but at the end of the day, people need to react emotionally, and creating the buzz, having a hype around what you're doing, it just does half the job. They need to relate to human parts of the thing. They need to relate to the people who are behind. They need to relate to the story and everything. It's just like just shouting from the rooftop that we are the best, we give the best service, we do the best product, whatever. it's not, it does not cut it anymore. It used to, but definitely not this time. Yeah.
True. Thank you so much, guys, for the for your for the conversation, for all the ideas and insights that you have shared. We have one question before we end from our community, and I will read it to you guys. Maybe you could share your opinion on the influencer marketing for startups, and does it make sense to start with it, or better wait? And if wait, then for how long? What would be your take on that? I don't know who is here first to give their opinion.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I think that there, again, like I will not give a simple answer about the influencer marketing for startups. I think it really depends on your business, right? So if it is like a B2C business, I don't know, you're creating a new clothing line, or you are selling perfume or makeup or things like that, I think that influencer marketing is absolutely crucial and essential for you to scale. There is no way around it. The way that people buy nowadays, any sort of products, is so heavily intertwined with social media and with influencing. And there's countless examples of that online, of how that kind of marketing has helped businesses scale. When it comes to B2B, I wouldn't think about influencers as in the same way as in B2C space, meaning it's not about people recommending your product. Maybe sometimes it's about the reviewing of the product, but it's never in that kind of like ad kind of way. I think where a lot of businesses are finding success is actually partnering with a media partner that is influential in the space as a whole. So maybe they are providing insightful opinions about the particular, I don't know, space or industry that this business is part of. Maybe they are organizing impactful events. Maybe they have a very large network and they're seen as a thought leader in the space, and so on. So there, I think it can be a little bit more nuanced. But I think that, yeah, like, to me, in my experience, influencer marketing and with the different facets of it, I think that that's definitely a channel to explore.
Adam, and maybe also from you, maybe you can also a little bit for the audience explain the difference between influencer marketing and the user-generated content. That is one big part also of promoting while answering this question, because I think this could be also an aspect that is interesting in the topic.
I think it's really relevant what Vizma mentioned about the overall scope of influencer marketing. What I wanted to add, which is crucial for early stage startups and the founders in like very early stages of recognition. Basically, it's like a lot of influencers are not really influencers as per se. So if you're looking for like micro influencers, I would not highly regarded as influencers, then it's much easier to find them. And they have the following, they have the engagement, and they definitely have their say, and they're motivated to help you out if they like the product or the service you are providing. And then we are like really nicely tying it back to the user-generated content you were asking. Then it could be your brand ambassadors. Your brand ambassadors could be your clients. They could be your early adopters, your fans who bought like every single version of the product you've ever rolled out. It just builds trust anyhow. And then if you manage to find multiple channels of trust to build, like you are cracking somehow how to become an AI recommendation, but in the meantime you have users who are creating content with your product, and then it's just like in a social media space, and then someone is writing a blog article about that, then you can create that type of multi-channel marketing that should like usually is created on a higher level, like scale up level, or more mature startup level, basically.
Mhm. Thank
There's
you
a lot
so
of
much for
potential
your.
here.
I think a lot of potential, but also a lot of more that we could discuss in that space specifically. That could be a whole next episode of our podcast just around that. So thank you so much for the sneak peek into those topics. To finish the conversation, we have a little tradition in our podcast. Yes, you started at Vizma, so now you have to also answer and be a victim of this question. Positive victim, of course. Tell me, what keeps you going? Why do you do what you do, and why are startups a place for you to do it? Let's tell the audience what our motivation behind all of this is.
Yeah, good question. Why do I do it? It's a good one. I ask myself that every day. Listen, I love startup space because I love the dynamic nature of startups, right? So, I mean, I've been part of a few, and I think that it would be very difficult for me to operate at my full potential at a company that is very rigid and, kind of like very static and super predictable. And no shade to those kind of companies. They have space, and and they run most of the things that consume. So it's amazing. But for me, what is really important is that no day is the same as the last one. I get to be, part of being at the cusp of innovation, and yeah. So I think that for me, it's the dynamism of the startups.
And you, Adam?
I love to help people. It's just I think that's the drive, and then also how wide it spreads. So I'm helping business owners to be able in the B2C space, like give better experiences to hundreds of thousands of people every single month to find what they are looking for and fall in love with the product they are buying, basically. And then it's just if I only think about that, then it's like how deep and how widespread is the impact. That's what keeps me going. It's an amazing thing.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation, and also thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. This has been exciting. This has been our third episode of Startups IRL by Founders Persist, and I'm very happy to have had this conversation with you guys. So thank you, and make sure everyone to follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and to look and watch out for the next episode. We will post the next updates on LinkedIn, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much, guys.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.